please don't run my time yet. I'm going to take my jacket off so that I can speak faster. The first thing that I want to say is thank you. Thank you to the CQI family for this prize, this award, this recognition. It makes me very proud. And of course, I get the prizes, but there's a group of people who do an outstanding work in Antioquia with us, a program that leads a woman who is Jenny. I want you to meet Jenny. Please stand up. She is the leader of the team that has been working on this special coffee program that we have at the Antioquia department. There are many friends here. I have had the chance to talk to you, to enjoy with you, to learn from you, from many of you. David, Greg, the people from Colombia. We have people from all over Colombia here, my country. We are drinking a wonderful coffee from a Huila. I want to say hi to all the Colombians here, and all of you, you should come to Colombia, and in particular, of course, when you go to Colombia, don't forget to come to Medellin, to Antioquia. So I'm going to take you through a very quick trip. They gave me very few minutes. I'm going to take a little longer. It took me 18 hours since I left my home yesterday morning to get here. So I'm going to tell you what we do and why we do it, and you are going to enjoy it. It's my claim. If you don't enjoy it, you don't come to Antioquia. That's the challenge. So the talk, the name, the title that I gave to this talk is, I say a special coffee. You say a specialty, but I don't know if you understand. A special coffee, then Antioquia is the place to go. I'm going to show you why. First of all, let me locate Antioquia. But first, we have to get to Colombia, to our country. Colombia is at the upper part of South America in the intersection with Panama. Panama used to be ours, but I'm not going to talk about that subject today. Colombia, our country. Within Colombia is Antioquia. And within Antioquia, that's Antioquia, we have three very main rivers, very important rivers for us: Magdalena, Cauca, and Atrato. I don't have a chance to locate them for you. We have the ocean. We have a very privileged place in our country, Antioquia. We have around 6.5 million people. We are the department that has most people in Colombia, and the Andes Mountains that come into Colombia from the south, coming from Chile, coming from Nariño, all these places where you have had both coffee and where you've had excellent coffee throughout Colombia are located, of course, around the Andes Mountains, but the Andes Mountains, when they come to an end, they come to an end in Antioquia. So we have wonderful mountains, and that's the place. There you see them, and that's my state, Antioquia. I'm not going to tell you more about it. The capital of Antioquia is Medellin, but now we are located. You come to South America, upper part of South America in the intersection with Central America, and there is Antioquia. If I manage to move this, I'm going to talk a little bit about something that is not very usual, but it's politics. And why I'm here today, the reason is politics. And I'm going to tell you a little bit why what I'm going to explain you. It's all related to what I'm going to tell you around this subject, this issue, politics. Around 15 years ago, a group of people in Medellin, we got together. We were tired of what we saw in the political world. We were tired of saying these things should be done. And then we got together in Medellin and we said, we are going to organize a political, civic independent political movement in order to get into power, and we are going to make education the engine of the social transformation. We were less than 50 people, but we made that decision. And we got into politics. We knew that politicians are the persons that make the most important decision in our society, regardless of whether we like them or not. So we decided to get into politics. And we got into politics around a basic set of principles that we share, and our purpose has been to solve and work on the solution of three problems. The three problems are inequality. We live in a very unequal society, and inequality is associated with injustice. Inequality is a word that is appearing in America these days, but we have lived with inequality throughout Latin America for centuries, and we don't accept inequality as a part of our lives. We want to challenge inequality to build equality. Secondly, we live in a place where we have seen the rigor of violence. I don't have to explain that. And associated with all these factors, there is the culture of illegality. Three problems that we face, and we work on the solution of those three problems. And that's what we have been doing. The general formula has been, we're going to use education understood in a broad 21st century scope, which means education, the schools, science, technology, innovation, entrepreneurship, and culture. All those activities where we, human beings, develop our capabilities, beginning with dignity, betting on the dignity of a human spirit, and the capabilities that we have as human beings. We want to transform this society. And that's, as I say, that's what we have been doing since 15 years ago. They laughed at us, they said that we were crazy, that it was impossible to defeat these huge, powerful electoral machineries, but we did it. And I'm going to continue telling you how we did that. And the formula has been very simple. We have been following a path since we began, and we have been coherent. And being coherent means that every step that we take will never contradict the previous steps. And secondly, we have been consistent. We have kept the same principles from day one. We don't change principles depending on who we are talking to. We have our principles, that's our guide, and we have kept them. So when you are coherent and you are consistent, you build the most important richness that you can build in politics, in the public life, which is trust. And that's what we have been building. And that's what we have achieved throughout all these years. That has to do with politics, and I'm here, as David said, I got my PhD at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. I am a mathematician, actually mathematical logic, dealing with infinite in all its ways. But here, we moved into politics to change the world, to change our society. That's the reason I am standing here, and that's the reason why these things are happening. Let me continue. So, in a very simple way, those are my drawings as I used to be a professor, as when I used to be a professor. I'm still a professor, but not a practicing professor at the university. Think of three trees. The tree of inequality, the tree of violence, the tree of illegality. We have to pull them out. That's what we would like to do. Now, if you look at those three trees, then they look separate. They are three independent trees. But if you look downwards, you will see that as you move downwards, the roots are tangled. And at the end, you cannot, from the bottom, you cannot distinguish them because the roots are so entangled that they end up having one single root, and after all, they are just one single tree. So if we want to uproot those three trees, then we have to do it simultaneously. You just not work on inequality or illegality or violence. You have to work simultaneously in all of them in order to take them out. And now I'm going to move into coffee. Because what I'm doing here, and the fact that I'm going to talk about coffee, has to do with the things that I just mentioned. And you will see. So the first thing that I want to say, well, welcome to Antioquia. Bienvenidos a Antioquia, la tierra del café. We will make some Spanish with English. Sounds good. That's a beautiful picture. I like it very much. It shows the smile of our people. This picture could be taken in Antioquia or in many other places in Colombia. But it's a very nice picture. It gives me, at least whenever I look at it, hope. Those are coffee growers. You have seen many. That's the way we look. Very good coffee, actually. There you go. More coffee, coffee, more coffee. And now I'm going to talk about coffee in Antioquia. And the question that I want to answer for you is, Well, what does coffee have to do with Antioquia? What does it mean to Antioquia, my home state? And the first thing is we have a history. Actually, Colombia is a very important part of Colombia's history. Coffee was the equivalent of oil right now to our Colombian society, but with some very specific, very powerful characteristics that make it very important for us in Antioquia and throughout the country. Coffee meant development in the social sense, economical sense, political sense, institutional sense, well-being for people. And it was a very democratic development. It dealt with human beings. We created a culture. The culture associated with coffee growers is something extraordinary that we have. It's a family-centered culture. You have most people own their own land, work on their own hands, and they have their life projects associated with coffee. That's extraordinary. And in Colombia, in Antioquia in particular, we have had plenty of benefits from all what has happened to our society associated with coffee. And that's very remarkable in a society that where, with all the problems that we have had previously, coffee has been always a positive aspect of our Colombian life, and in particular in Antioquia. But that's the history. And now the world has changed. What happens today in Antioquia? In Antioquia, I just wrote down some numbers there. I'll explain them very quickly. We have 125 municipalities in Antioquia. Of those, 94 of them grow coffee. That means we have coffee all over the place in Antioquia. It's very important for our development, coffee. Secondly, we have around 90,000 coffee growers families, just families. That's a very important number of people in our state. We have 133,000 hectares being cultivated with coffee. We produce 1,800,000 bags of coffee in Colombia, and that's about 16% of the coffee that is produced in our country. That's what we have today, with many other things. But the world has changed. Coffee doesn't mean the same. Colombian coffee doesn't mean the same. It's not the same meaning. With different conditions, we have to make decisions. And we have to move into the 21st century. So how do we move into the 21st century? How we build on a capacity that we have constructed for so many years, the coffee growers in Antioquia, and how we make the most out of them, and how we leap forward to the 21st century. And the keyword and the program that we have used for that, to mobilize the society, to change the culture, to adjust to what is coming, is special coffees. And that's why we have this program, and we are going to mobilize the whole society associated with coffee in Antioquia, which have meant for us development, human development. We move into the 21st century, and that means special coffees. And what's the recipe? As I mentioned it before, education in the 21st century sense, which means education, science, technology, innovation, entrepreneurship, and culture. And then what I'm going to show you is how we put that recipe into work in Antioquia and how we are doing the whole thing that I'm mentioning here. And that's our special coffees program. We have two challenges. One big challenge. We claim, and that's a challenge, we have to produce in Antioquia the best coffee in the world. That's a challenge. We don't produce the best coffee in the world, but we have to be able to do it. My friend from Huila will say, we produce better, very good. Keep going, because we are going to produce the best coffee in the world. And that's what we want to work together with all Colombians and throughout. Now, we have to move quickly into organize very well, and CQI has been very helpful with this project, is organize the productive change associated with coffee. And then from that, we have to move into a cluster, the coffee cluster. That's a big challenge that we have. And we have to move from Antioquia on your left-hand side, that's my drawing, the mountains there, and we have to move all the way up to the world. Today I'm talking to the world. That's part of our program. So how do we move from our mountains to the world? Throughout this program that we have, with those challenges, we are going to produce the best coffee in the world. We are going to have no time to pay attention to all of you simultaneously in Antioquia because you want to buy our coffee. We will see. Now, so the first thing that we have to do is we have to go to the territory and look at what is happening there and work with the coffee growers. And that, what do we do with them? Education. There is the old generations, the ones who have been doing the same thing throughout decades. We have to re-educate them in many practices, best practices, and that's what we have to do. This guy looks from Antioquia, and I need my Antioquian coffee here so that I can enjoy. Thank you very much. Now I can go faster. Then, education, we go. The old coffee growers, we have to change them. Not them as human beings, but re-educate them. And we have this incredible program of expansionistas moving throughout the territory. I'm not going to enter into the details, you can have them later, but that's very crucial and very difficult. It's very easy to say, but very difficult to do, because they have been doing this for many years. We work with the Comités Cafeteros of Antioquia, the Comité Cafetero of Antioquia, the cooperativas, the 4 cooperativas that we have, but we have to change the chip. And that's difficult, but that means education, and we have to find a way to educate in a different way. At the same time, we have to think of the new generation. Most young people don't want to be coffee growers. At least they don't want to be coffee growers in the sense that their parents went, because the world has changed. So we have to move in there and to show that coffee growing has to do with the world. Widen the borders, show them what happens with those coffee beans throughout the world, and that's of course a project that has to do with special coffee. So we are educating them, and then we have new professions, new activities that we didn't know. Catadores, baristas, tostadores. We have to move into logistics, how we do the logistics of the whole thing. They have to learn to speak English. They have to understand finances. They have to understand what a future is, what an option is, and they have to move into a new different world, but they need a different education. So we are working on those aspects with many people, many institutions that have been helping us. But when you look at that, then you have to look at the process from picking the right bean at the right time with the right conditions, but then you have to look at the whole process, and we need research. I come from the world of research, and we have, with our money, the money that we have received from the national government, we have dedicated a good portion to doing research of, for example, among many things, but one of those which is crucial for the whole project is fermentation. How the fermentation process has to do with the quality bean that we are drinking here. And we are using our brains, we have very good brains, with the National University to look at all these research aspects that have to do with sciences in the whole process, education and science. Technology moves, is underlying the whole thing, from this very humble coffee grower with his family to the relationship that we are going to have with you when you are going to be able to see our coffee from Antioquia, the profiles that we have, and you should be able to pick the best coffee in the world directly from Antioquia with the information that we are going to give you. But then you do science, you have to have education, you move into these new generations, and there are many other things, but we are building some extraordinary places in these towns, because most of the coffee that we produce come from small towns on the mountains. Those new places where we get together in Antioquia, which are called parques educativos. Those are places where we are going to build beautiful buildings, I'm going to show you, and the expression, the abilities, the capabilities, the dreams of our people will be put in there. There will be touristic places. Tourism goes hand in hand with the development of coffee. We look at what powers we have, what qualities we have in our territory, and we transform those qualities into productive activities. Tourism goes very well along with coffee growing. It's exciting. And then we have those beautiful places, new places that we are building in 80 towns in Antioquia, so where we get together, whenever we have a municipality where we have coffee, at the Parque Educativo, the coffee will be a centerpiece, so that they will show through the coffee, the richness of our communities, our societies, and from coffee, start improving the quality conditions of life people around those towns. Then we have to move into the world. We have been moving in Antioquia. We have to work within Antioquia. We have to learn many things for many people all over the place. But then we have to get into the world. So how do we get into the world? I'm finishing. What we do first, and we have been doing, is we created our best coffee cup in Antioquia, a contest. It's a way to force people to organize, to get together. Those that have very small lots have to learn to work together, to get dressed, get prepared to a contest, so that they can put together those kilos that are going to be tested by many of you who have been through Antioquia. And then we are going to start talking about, look at this wonderful coffee that we have in our mountains. We didn't know actually about it, but then you have the best tasters that you can find. So we move from the very humble people working on the land, we make them go towards the world, and the first stop is at the contest that we have within Antioquia. We get prepared, we learn, we improve, we little by little find that profile of Antioquia's coffees, and then we start selling coffee throughout the world. But whenever you drink and you buy coffee from Antioquia, you have to buy coffee of very high quality, the high quality that we can produce. What we have been doing is, the government that I preside is putting together all these pieces, making sure that people who do very good work get together and work together, so that we can transform what we have done before, the richness that we have built before, we make it in a new way of being rich in the sense of human development, the way we understand human development to transform a society. I forgot, I'm looking at this guy here, Estrada. For example, within the science part of our project, we present to our society challenges. And it's a program that is said, or it's called, excuse me, Who Dares? And we present a problem, and people from all over the place try to come up with the solution. This guy here, J.M. Estrada, his factory produces extraordinary machinery associated with coffee. He won the prize when we put it up there. So what we have in Colombia, in Antioquia, is plenty of intelligent people. When you put together intelligence with decency, and you use fully their capabilities, we can do whatever we want. We can go as far as we want to go. And that's what we state, and I have no trouble saying it. We can produce the best coffee in the world. Let me show you some pictures to end what I'm telling you. For example, this is a town in the mountains. It's called Titiribi. It's a beautiful town. They are very proud of their coffee, as they are all over the place in Antioquia. Titiribi, well, they have coffee. There it is. They have coffee. And that's the main plaza in Titiribi, and that's plenty of people. And what are they doing there? They are celebrating. We are celebrating what? That they won a Parque Educativo. They are going to have a Parque Educativo in Titiribi. This wonderful, beautiful place that let us get together, connected to the world through digital technologies, where we make sure that the teachers that we have in our towns become the most important and respected persons in the whole town, where we have the program about entrepreneurship, where we learn about what we can do with our mountains and our products. And when you put all those together, what we build what we call hope. Our kids in those towns that during many years, they have seen violence, now they start seeing and touching hope, educating themselves, being able to dream of something that they never dreamt. Violent people and corrupt people, what they achieve and what they want is that we lose the capability of dreaming, of having hopes. They don't want us to hope. They want us to be reduced so that we are their slaves. And with education, with all what we are doing, we are becoming free in the sense that we are betting, as I say, about the dignity of human spirit, which means the path of freedom that we are building with education. So here, are dreaming in Colombia. And this is the Parque Educativo that we are going to build there, that actually we are building. And at the top, if you see there, that's the place where you are going to find the coffee from TTDB. The best coffee that they have in TTDB is going to be there. So you can go there. They are going to have a place where they are going to be able to show the world what they produce with their coffee. They are very proud. They cannot wait to have the place finished so that their coffee will be the symbol of the transformation of TTDB, but it will be special coffees. So for example, that's what we are doing. We are about to finish the building. And from there, you can sit and you are going to have the most beautiful view that you can have. Our mountains, the Cauca River there, and all that territory is coffee land. Let me show you one more. Támesis, another town. That's the picture, it's a common picture. It's another town that grows coffee, a very good coffee. There we have our coffee growers. They are going to have an educational park. That's the way it looked like 5 months ago. That's how it's going to look when we finish. And that's how it is right now. And this guy comes from Caicedo, which is a little municipality in Antioquia. This year, he won the best coffee cup in Antioquia. And his expression is the expression of what we can do. In Antioquia, in Colombia, when we bet on our dignity, our capacity, our decency, our intelligence, we can put ourselves whatever we want as a challenge, and I'm sure that we can get in there as long as we bet on education. So what we are doing right now with this special coffee program is transforming our society around something marvelous, which is coffee. So drink a lot of coffee from Colombia and from Antioquia. Thank you very much.